How you doing? My name is Chad Houston, and I've had a lot of kids come to me, and juniors especially that I have, and ask just, "Hey, I'm getting to take the ACT. Is there anything you can do to help, or is there any tips for the ACT?" So we took a great in service on from Torch Prep. I've had a daughter go through that, and she did fantastic, and it actually raised her scores. Was very positive for her. So every Friday, I'm going to have these short little 5 minute blurbs on hopefully what you can do to hopefully try to improve on the ACT. So here are common questions that I get. Number one, do you need a strategy? Number two, is it based on content? And number three, what about time? So let's start with number one. Do you need a strategy? And the answer is absolutely yes. They've done lots of studies, and if you go in and take it cold, you're guaranteed to get a score. But if you have a strategy, if you have a plan, if you practice a bit, if you're aware and has seen a few of the problems, you are going to statistically do much better than those who don't. Hey, listen, I'm not a big fan of the ACT, but right now it's the hoop that everybody has to jump through. Pretty much, it's sort of what colleges use, most colleges use, as sort of like the first filter to separate out applicants. Our job is to help to give you the best strategies possible to put yourself in a good spot. And please know, you can always improve your score, which is very common with just a little bit of practice and time. So that was the first question. Question number two, is the score based on content? Well, yes and no. Again, if you know the content, that'll help. However, chances are you're going to have problems on that test that you've never seen in school, and maybe some content you've never seen. But don't panic. It is all about strategy. Hey, if it makes you feel any better, I'm 51, 52, and I took a portion of it, stuff I hadn't seen in 30 years. I had no clue about the content, but with some strategy and some tips, I still got the answers right. And guess what? You can too. So don't panic if you see something you don't know. Next question is, what about time? Hey, time is a big deal. Yeah, it's a really big deal. And they will intentionally try to trick you to ask you hard questions. If you try to read every question, you will run out of time. It is a time test. But here's one thing you can do. A good tip, and we'll talk more about this. Get an incredibly cheap watch from any place, just a really cheap watch that you can set the timer on. Make sure it doesn't beep, and set it for noon every time they tell you to start to take the test. So that way, if it's like 12:05, 12:10, or 12:30, you'll know exactly how far you are in the test. Also, Torch Prep has a specific legal timer that you can use, that it has it set up for each test. And you can just type Torch Prep and timer, and that might be worth the money. So those are just 3 questions and 3 answers every Friday. I'm just going to give you a couple more tips to say, hey, here's how we think this is going to work. Here's some tips. Hope it helps. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And again, with a little bit of practice, it's working harder and working smarter. You can do pretty darn well.